We are in June, so you know what that means. Nintendo Direct watch time. June is a huge month, almost like the return of like an E3 type of atmosphere. You have the Summer Game Fest, you have the Xbox Games Showcase, and you have the PlayStation State of Play, which is preparing to be pretty big, it seems, based off of Sony's preparations for the show, and for some people, the PC Gamer Show, but I don't care about that. We got to talk about what's happening with the Nintendo Direct. That's rumored. Jeff Grubb, in addition to Nate the Hate, both reliable insiders, have both stated that they have heard around mid-June for the next Nintendo Direct. But the interesting thing here is that some people have the impression that we know everything, that it's all laid out, that there are no surprises, and it seems like that's not the case. Once again, reiterated by Mr. Nate the Hate himself. So we're going to discuss that, in addition to when we could see the next Nintendo Direct, and something that I think is the key and the pillar to why Nintendo is having as much success as they are. It's something that I saw on Twitter, and I wanted to point it out, so you want to stick around for the full conversation here. But before we continue, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 140,000 subscribers, or on September 1st, whichever comes first. Subscribe, like, comment. The winner will be chosen at random, and it's a worldwide giveaway. Thanks, peeps. Stealth over on Twitter posted this. Shout outs to the homie Stealth. And he says, in June, a Nintendo Direct has happened 4 out of the last 5 years. Starting Monday, the Nintendo Direct watch begins for real, in my opinion. So there was a person on here, there was another user that stated, but they're less exciting because of leaking rats. You hear that? Leaking rats. Nate the Hate too, who spoil the excitement for seeing a brand new game presented with a great trailer. So Nate the Hate saw that because he was tagged, and he stated this. As said in March, that's on his podcast. If you haven't seen the Nate the Hate podcast from then, definitely check it out. I didn't share the entire lineup, and surprises remain. So he also goes on to say some other things, talking about how some people get excited when they learn about different types of games than to see the game. So I understand both sides, but of course, I think at the time that Nate the Hate talked about this, people were crying and complaining that they needed to know what was happening for the year. So I think that Nate strategically planned that episode very well, because it did quell people's thoughts, and then it actually started to happen. We got Star Fox, and that Star Fox reveal was crazy. And then Nintendo had some momentum when it comes to what's happening with Pokemon Pocopia at the time back in March. Then on top of that, we've got the re-reveal and release date for Splatoon Raiders, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, all of those having a lower price point digital and able to get some physical savings with the pre-orders matching the digital price from Amazon in addition to Walmart. So in my opinion, at least, things actually worked out all good there. But that's the thing. Nate says it right here. We still have surprises. There are still things left to know. Yes, Ocarina of Time Remake seems to be a thing based off of information that Nate has put out and other information as well. Yes, Star Fox became a thing, and that was huge when it comes to the look of the game and the arguments back and forth and the information that's coming out. It looks incredible. I cannot wait to play that. We are in Star Fox month already, so that's exciting. I love the announcement, and then the announcement and the release date are so close to each other. Whenever a developer can do that, do it, because to me it just makes things so much better when you know you're going to be able to get your hands on the game soon. You're going to be able to play whatever you see, and if you think it looks lit, it just makes things more exciting. I didn't care that I already knew Star Fox was coming. I didn't know it was coming back like that, and I didn't know it was going to be the way that it was. And even though Nate did say that it's going to be a June release, you still need to see that release date. So that was super exciting for me. But there are other games. Ocarina of Time is coming. We know the Dusk Bloods is coming. We know that Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is coming. We still have Rhythm Heaven to come out. Star Fox, obviously, Splatoon Raiders. So there's going to be a solid lineup. And what else could Nintendo show? Could there be more classic games that are remade to join the fray? People are talking about the N64 revolution here with Ocarina of Time being remade in addition to Star Fox. Is there any more? Could we see some other old school franchises? How about Pit from Kid Icarus? That can make a comeback. Golden Sun, what's happening with that game? What's Camelot doing after Mario Tennis Fever? So I do think that there are quite a bit of different franchises that Nintendo will reveal for this year and next year that are coming back that's going to blow our mind. Because here's the coolest thing, in my opinion so far, or one of the coolest things about the Nintendo Switch 2 and the upcoming lineup, is that we still have yet to see the heaviest hitters that the Nintendo Switch 1 had in order to move systems. We got Mario Kart, which is awesome, but we still need that next 3D Mario. We still need that next big Splatoon game. When it comes to the normal mainline Splatoon, so Splatoon 4, Splatoon Raiders is a spin-off according to Nintendo. We still need to see that next major new Animal Crossing game, Super Smash Bros., the next major new Zelda game. Super Smash Bros. Has been a massive success and a huge system mover for more than half a decade on the Nintendo Switch 1. There's still a lot when it comes to what Nintendo is going to have for the next number of years on the Nintendo Switch 2, plus those classic games that they could bring back at any time, like I talked about. So I think that's super exciting, and I cannot wait to see what else Nintendo's going to have for us. The Nintendo Direct watch starts for real here in June. I think that's going to happen. But speaking of the Nintendo Direct watch, HMK, shout outs to HMK, friend of the channel, he actually put up an interesting tweet about what some people were speculating when it comes to when we will see the next Nintendo Direct. And I wanted to talk about it because I don't think this is going to be accurate, because that means that if this is accurate, that means that the Nintendo Direct will be this week. And I don't think the Nintendo Direct is this week. So HMK on Twitter says, so whisper in the winds is that the supposed June Nintendo Direct may be happening Thursday, June 4th, right within the Wild Boy week of summer gaming shows. What do y'all think? And then he followed that up by saying, LMAO, why am I trending? This is just whispers I've heard from the internet. I am not an insider or leaker. LMAO. This is where I read it from, among other things. So he's not saying that he is leaking, that it's gonna happen on there, and I don't think Nate the Hate or anybody else is backing this one up, so I don't think it's going to be this week for the Nintendo Direct, but I do think that it could be in a couple weeks for the Nintendo Direct. This upcoming week is interesting. There's a lot of big shows. I think Nintendo's going to wait at least 1 week from now. So usually what we see Nintendo Directs Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Sometimes Nintendo has had them on Mondays. Sometimes they've had them on Fridays. I think there's not many for the most part. And obviously Saturday and Sunday is a no-go. So I think that the most possible dates for the Nintendo Direct are June 9th, 10th, or 11th, or June 16th, 17th, or 18th. Now, Nintendo does not like to announce Nintendo Directs far in advance. The most that you're going to get is a day or two in advance, and usually they'll do them the day before. So if we're having a Nintendo Direct on Wednesday, you're gonna get the announcement on Tuesday. Like I said, maybe sometimes there's been a 2-day announcement of a Nintendo Direct outside of specialty directs where it's like, oh, we're gonna have the next reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and we're gonna let you know months ahead of time. Like that was a specialty type thing. But when it comes to general standard Nintendo Directs, I think that it's going to be a day before, maybe two. Now this Direct, I think, is going to be a big Chungus Direct. Now some people are saying, well, maybe it's another partner showcase. I don't think so. We had a partner showcase. I know that not everyone loved that partner showcase because of the type of games that were in there. I was actually looking forward to quite a number of those big third-party games in that partner showcase. But for me, I think that this Nintendo Direct needs to hit. Nintendo does have a price increase coming on September 1st. So what are you going to do to entice people to say, okay, you either buy it right now at this point or pick it up with the $500 for the choose your game bundle. So I think that Nintendo needs to have a strong summer push for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now they've got some good games. Obviously, Star Fox, Splatoon, Raiders, that's going to be great. I think Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is going to be an August or September type game. The Dust Bloods, there's going to be Ocarina of Time Remake, but what else are they going to have to push sales? What third-party games are coming to the table? What are they going to do to make sure that they maintain the momentum as the best-selling device for last year and this year? And I think that it's going to come down to the games, of course. The hardware is solid enough. The pricing is good enough. They still have to have some things to keep the momentum going. So I do think that that's where we're going to see these big surprises, first party games and other stuff that Nintendo's working on. There's still Pokemon Winds and Waves for next year. So could we get another trailer for that? I think a gameplay trailer for Pokemon Winds and Waves wouldn't be necessarily a bad idea. I know it's still got a little bit more time till next year, 2027. We don't know when in 2027 it's coming out, but I think that one more trailer for that game kind of showing off a bit more and what you can do would be good, because that's going to be a massive system seller for the Nintendo Switch 2, and they're going to need that momentum, of course, next year in 2027, as years 2 and 3 are some of the most crucial years for big expansion, and some of the best games do come out in that time period, usually for Nintendo systems. So we'll see what happens with the Nintendo Direct then, and what they ultimately end up having. But here's the thing when it comes to Nintendo and the games, because obviously the games are the most important thing. I saw a post on Twitter, and I felt to myself, you know what, I gotta talk about this, because this is just crazy. To me, it's just a crazy thing, and I think it's one of the reasons why Nintendo's been able to endure as long as they have, and they have a unique position within the industry. Everybody has something that they do incredibly well. I think Sony, obviously, with the standard hardware for a lot of third parties when it comes to third-party sales and the general type of games, the hardware power, Sony does a great job with that, and that's why they have such a loyal base of always. It's going to be right around 100 million plus sales and more when it comes to most of Sony's systems, most of Sony's home consoles. That's incredible. They do that really well, in addition to pushing that cinematic edge for their games. Microsoft has their system when it comes to adaptability. They have their Play Anywhere. They have all of those IPs now at this point. They have a really flexible system, and yes, console sales aren't great, but they still own a ton of IP and make great games that people enjoy, like Forza Horizon 6, for example. Obviously got the Halo remake that's coming out, and many more. They own Call of Duty, and that's coming to the Switch too. So I think that Microsoft, as a massive publisher that also makes hardware, I think that that's what they do really well. And then you have Nintendo, and they are pretty much nostalgia kings brought into the modern day, but they also do a great job of just making incredible games that are just fun to play no matter what time period you grew up in. And this post over on Twitter from D-Pad kind of just encapsulates all of that I said, because it says, this is still insane to me. And in one picture you see here, Nintendo Switch 2, Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, Kirby Air Riders, Star Fox, and Pokemon Legends ZA. So you've got 8 games there, all colorful, all really fun. I've played all of these games, obviously, but Star Fox. I've beaten all of these games. I haven't beaten Yoshi yet, but I played Yoshi, played Kirby, played Mario Kart World. All of these games have varying levels of quality of what I like the most or not. Donkey Kong Bonanza and Pokemon Legends ZA, Metroid Prime 4, Hyrule Warriors. I think these games are all really fun. Mario Kart World. But then in the next post, he has the Super Smash Brothers from the N64 and the character select screen without the extra characters, the secret characters. Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, Pikachu. So Super Smash Brothers came out in 1999, and this default lineup was Nintendo's biggest IPs at the time. So the fact that it's been going on 30 years now, because once again, Smash Brothers came out in 1999. We're going on 30 years, and Nintendo is still to this day making multi-million selling franchises within all of these characters. Every single one of them has a million plus or soon to be million plus type seller already out on the Nintendo Switch 2, and that to me is incredible. The fact that you still have all these characters, and I said this is what makes Nintendo special, from 30 years ago, going on 30 years ago now at this point, 27 years, going on 30 years. No other development studio, you can look back at their portfolio in 1999 and their games that were popular and say, okay, 30 years later, they still multi-million sellers on one platform released within a year of something coming out. That's just unheard of. I have not seen it at all. I'm not even sure Nintendo's even done it with previous generations. The Switch 2 has been able to do that with this. So to me, that's incredible. That's one of the best things that I saw, and I'm like, wow. I wonder if that's even happened before with any of Nintendo's systems with the original Super Smash Bros. And I don't think it did. I don't think it did even with the Nintendo Switch 1. We had to wait to get some of those other games when it comes to, actually there was no Star Fox at all. So yeah, we didn't get it when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 1. And some of these games, like let's say Pokemon, for example, fell outside of the 1 year window. So that's crazy to me. It's really cool, and I think that it really just separates Nintendo, and once again, they play their role within the greater ecosystem of Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, even Valve and everything, and it's just part of it. And I just thought it was cool, so I thought I should share it. What do you guys think when it comes to everything that we talked about here? I know there was a lot. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click the notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.